Peace, world. I'm back with another final say. So today, what I want to speak about is when you choose you. When you choose you, you're gonna really see how people really see themselves when it comes to dealing with you, and you're really gonna see where you stand in people's lives. It doesn't matter if it's your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your kids, a co-worker, whatever walks of life. When you start to accept you for you, and you start to choose you over everything else in life outside of God, you're going to see where you really stand with people. And now you're going to really see how people are going to treat you. You're really going to see where you stand in people's lives. You're really going to see now when you interact with people how they're going to deal with you. And why that becomes important, because we should always want to choose us first and foremost over anything in life. Because if you don't have self-love, if you don't have self-respect, if you don't have self-control, how can you display respect for other people, other things? How can you display control for other people and other things? So it's important that you always love yourself, you always respect yourself, you always control yourself, you always do what's best for you. As long as when you do what's best for you, it's not harming other people. It's not being jealous of other people. It's not being envious of other people. It's not putting other people down. It's not belittling other people. It really shouldn't matter what they say about you or to you at the end of the day, because you're doing things to better you. Like I said, as long as you're not disrespecting other people, as long as you're not belittling other people, as long as you're not being jealous of other people, you're not being envious of other people, it really shouldn't matter. You're doing what's best for you. I'm doing what's best for me, so it don't matter how my mom may see that, or my dad may see that, or my kids may see that, or my co-workers may see that, or family members may see that, or people in life. As long as I'm not disrespecting them, as long as I'm not belittling them, as long as I'm not talking about them and I'm talking to them, it shouldn't matter. And that's why I always, use that slogan. I talk to people and not about them. Because again, from my perspective, that's a sign of respect. If I'm willing to talk to somebody about them, I understand that it could be unorthodox and it could be uncomfortable, but I'm not talking about them. I'm talking to them. So if it's a cousin, or if it's an uncle, or if it's a family member, and I'm like, yo, cousin so-and-so, yo, last time I seen you, man, I didn't like the fact this, that, and that. It don't matter if cousin so-and-so, uncle so-and-so may feel away, or aunt so-and-so. At least I talk to them about it. And another thing, I want to talk to just them on a one-on-one, because I don't want them or me to be compromised by what somebody else think, or what somebody else may feel, or the way somebody else may see it. You know what I mean? And that goes back to something else that I'm a firm believer in, that if I was you syndrome. So I could have a conversation with my uncle, and then another family may find out and say, if I was you, man, I wouldn't have let such and such say such and such to me. Or if I was you, I wouldn't let such and such come to my house like that. I wouldn't let such and such eat my food. I wouldn't let such and such do that. That's how they see it. That's their perspective. You know what I mean? We all got our own circumstances and situations. So the way I may be a father, I'm not looking for somebody else to be a father. Or the way that somebody else is being a mother, don't let that dictate the way you need to be a mother. You know what I mean? And that's another thing about, perspective and circumstances and situations. Before you become something, it's like on the job training. So before I became a father, when I first had my oldest child, it was on the job training. I had to learn. It doesn't matter what my grandmother may told me, or my grandfather, or my father, or my mother may have told me, well, you need to do this when you're a father. I had to learn. It's on the job training at the end of the day. And when you learn how to do something, it's going to be bumps in the road. But that don't mean that because you didn't know how to do something that you're not doing it correctly. You didn't know how to do it. You're learning how to do it. You learn how to become a father. You learn how to become a mother. You learn how to become a better person. You learn how to deal with business better. You learn how to interact with people. Now, once you learn how to do these things and you're not doing them the way they should be done or correctly, then somebody can say, well, you're not doing that correctly. And that's based off data, information, and that's based off know-how. But if you don't know how to do something and you're not doing it the correct way, instead of somebody saying you don't know what you're doing, help that person learn how to do it. Walk with that person. Don't just say, well, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know how to be a father. You don't know how to be a mother. You don't know how to be a brother. You don't know how to be a co-worker. You don't know how to run a business. I mean, that doesn't mean that they knew how to do it prior to doing it. That's why experience is one of the best teachers. Because with that experience, with that know-how, you learn how to do things better. But if you don't know how to do something and somebody just condemning you saying, oh, well, if I was you, I would be this type of father. If I was you, I would be this type of mother. I mean, until you have a child, you don't know what it's like. And just because you have a child, that don't mean you know how to be a mother or you know how to be a father. You have to learn how to do these things. And just because somebody telling you how to do it, that don't mean that's the correct way and it applies for you to do it. People tell me things all the time. I'm not saying they're giving me the incorrect information, but that don't mean what they telling me applies for me and it's going to be right for me to apply it, for me to do it. The same thing with me. Just because I give somebody advice or suggestions, or I'm telling somebody how to do things, that don't mean that it applies for them. That's why I tell people when they come to my platform to do their own homework and do their own research, because just because I'm telling somebody how to do something doesn't mean that it applies for them and it's going to work for them. If it does, I'm thankful for that and I appreciate that. But if it doesn't, that's on me now to come up with better ways, stronger remedies, and higher learning, a higher education. That's all. But that doesn't mean because I tell somebody something that it's definitely gonna work for them. And again, if it doesn't, that doesn't make me not knowing what I'm doing or not knowing what I'm talking about. That just means it doesn't apply to them. And that doesn't make me a bad person and that doesn't make them a bad person. It just doesn't apply. But sometimes when we give people advice or we give people suggestions or we tell people things and it doesn't work or they don't listen, we take it as if, oh, you ain't listening, you hard-headed, or you ain't take my advice, you stupid. Or no, that doesn't mean that they're stupid, and that doesn't mean just because you gave them advice and it doesn't work, that doesn't mean that you don't know what you're talking about or they're a bad person. It doesn't mean that. It just doesn't apply. And sometimes the advice we give people doesn't mean that we give them the right or wrong advice. It just might not apply. But sometimes we look at it like, oh, well, I said such and such and such. They ain't listen to me. If they would listen to me, this would have worked. Nah, I mean, it's a lot of times I didn't listen to people, and just because I didn't listen don't mean that it worked for me. And just because I did listen don't mean that it did work for me. At the end of the day, I listen to God. I'm not saying I don't listen to other people. I take what other people tell me and I try to apply some things that they say in my life. And if it doesn't work, that doesn't mean that that person is a bad person, or it doesn't mean that they gave me bad advice. It just didn't apply for me. That's all. Sometimes though, we look at life like, you know what, man, yeah, that person didn't listen to me. They hard-headed or they stupid or they, nah. I mean, I'm not gonna be judgmental if I give somebody advice and they don't listen, or I give somebody a suggestion and they don't listen. Nah, they don't have to listen to me. That's why I tell people to do their own homework and do their own research. And if it doesn't apply, let it fly. And I don't give people advice that I wouldn't take for me, myself, and I. That's very important. I'm going to say that one more time. I don't give people advice that I don't accept for me, myself, and I. So I'm not going to tell somebody to do something that I won't do for myself. That's very important for me in my life. I'm not going to tell somebody to do something that I'm not going to do for me. That's very important. So at the end of the day, if this video did apply and you believe some of the things that I'm saying, or you agree with some of the things I said, drop a comment, let me know, drop a like, subscribe if you're a new listener, or you're a person that just stumbled upon a video, I would appreciate it. And if this doesn't apply, let it fly. And if you believe or you see it as if what I'm saying is not working for you, or my videos are not working for you, or the education I'm not working, unsubscribe or don't recommend or not interested. And peace and power to you, your family, and God bless you and your family. And to everybody else out there that who I do make these videos for and it do apply, I thank everybody and I appreciate everybody for keeping me encouraged, keep me motivated to do what I do. Peace.